Hi guys, Sarah the Northwoods Stitcher here. I have pulled out some of my crates, my two crates of Halloween and fall cross stitches that I will be hanging up probably next week. It is Wednesday the 18th. I'm trying to make this video so I can post it on the 25th. We're going to go up to camp, I think, tomorrow to check on the property after the hurricane we had last weekend and just get some relaxation time in. My husband can navigate stairs now after his hip surgery, so this will be nice to take a trip. I'll be doing the driving. He's not allowed to drive yet. But I did guilt a bit when I pulled out these crates. Not all of them are marked, so I can't tell you what all of the patterns or designers are. I'm just hoping that this will give you some motivation to pull out some fall stitches or some Halloween stitches that you've been looking forward to do that you have already. So don't think of this as an enabling video. Think of this as just an inspirational video. If you really have a need to find out what the pattern is, just drop me a line and I'll dig through my stash and try to find it for you. Some of them are pretty old. Some of them are not so old, so I should be able to find them in my collection. I have two crates, and what I do is I put them in these wooden crates and I mark them as to what they are. And they're stored in my attic space that is climate controlled, so it doesn't have high heat. It's just kind of regulated in this area, same temperature here. I like to store everything in pillowcases, so I do go to Goodwill, and when that color is up, I just go through the pillowcases. They used to be $1 now, and they were 50 cents if they were half price. Now I see that they mark pillowcases $2, so I'm paying $1 a pillowcase. Fortunately, I have quite a bit, so I can make it for the next few years. So let's get started on the first crate. I've got some little ones. This one, did I date this one? Oh heavens. I don't think I even dated this one. But this was a cute little stitch that I finished. This was a very simple design, and what I did when I went to finish it off is I put it on foam board, and I put a type of ribbon around that wasn't ruffled, but I made it ruffled with pins. So I just kind of bunched it up in sections. Then I mounted it on another piece of foam board with fabric wrapped all the way around. There's some fuzz on there. So the fabric, I started on the back, pulled it to the front, and you can see there's some little folds here. So my stitch is actually mounted on where it's all folded. And then I glued it all together and put a little raffia down here. I just think it's adorable. It's great for a doorknob or a cupboard hook. I like to put them in different places in the house. This I love. I did this year, or finished it off this year. I think he was a free pattern, but I'm not sure. But I put a little metallic in there, and I painted the hoop with a almost like a midnight blue sparkle glitter paint. And I thought he was cute. I do love flying kittens, so I'm partial to bats. This one I did in 2020. It's a really cute little sampler. I like the crows in it and the boo. And I just put it in a inexpensive little frame that I probably picked up from Goodwill. I can't recall. But I love fall colors, and the leaves will start changing. Is this dated at all? This is 2018. I'm pretty sure this one came out of a magazine. And I put this one, I wish I knew what type of frame this is. Maybe you guys remember. But I remember there was a clearance on these, and I got a whole bunch of different sections. But look at those colors. I used all the called for threads, except for I think I put in some glitter here that it didn't call for, but I thought it would look nice. And that's the only place. No, I also added a little bit of gold into the pumpkin and some gold in the buttons on her boots. So that was really fun to do. This is an oldie but a goodie. 2015. I like how bright that is. I think I had this fabric and I'm like, what am I going to do with this fabric? So the black stitch on it really made it pop. It almost looks dimensional. Hopefully I have wall space for all of this. This is a 2020. Tipping it just right. It's a little crooked. I don't mind things being a little crooked when I frame them. I'm not that much of a perfectionist. I figured, well, at least people know it's homemade. Once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered weak and weary. This was last year's finish. I really like this turkey. He's not marked either, but it's from the series on the tip of my tongue. But I love the leaves in there. It was a fun stitch. I thought it would be a little tedious with all those different feather colors, but it wasn't. It was a fast stitch. This one I did on a tea-dyed fabric that I did myself. I did this in 2021. This is such a cute little table side. I think it's probably a 6x6 frame with only like a 5x5 opening. So it's just sweet. And I like how it says leaf. And there's a couple of French knots in there. The little berries. I might have used some Weeks Dye Works in that. This one I did for my husband last year. How's that frame? It's plastic, which I don't like plastic frames, but this one's perfect. Perfect for the stitch. He has a little coffee room in our laundry area, and I like to change out his decor for the season. Little spiders. Hocus pocus, I need coffee to focus. Oh, that pile's getting steep. Oh, the last one in this crate. This one I did in 21. And this is a magnetic change out board. So the part that's changeable is the entire section. This is Prairie Schooler as the Crow Flies. Now this is foam board mounted on a piece of matte board with some chenille ribbon just glued to it. Then I put the magnets on the back, and this was thin enough to add the magnets to the back of that. I have a Christmas Prairie Schooler that I put on here. Hopefully I can show it to you when I switch them out. My next project should be maybe a Valentine, and just keep continuing to use this. It's pretty sturdy. Sow 4 seeds in a row, one to rot and one to grow, one for the rook and one for the crow. Crows again. And I think I got this board at Michael's. And I don't remember if I stained it or if it was already stained. I think it was already stained, because that would have been just another project that I didn't probably want to get into. Oh, there is more from this crate. I have a little bag that I keep in that crate. So let's see what's in here. That means there's some smaller ones. And again, these aren't marked. This is all the same designer, and it was, I think, just a series. Can't recall. It might have been a magazine. I put them all in little frames, but I hang them on the wall, I think. I think these went by my Christmas and my Halloween tree. So I love that purple. And it's not going to show up, I think, on video, but it's got some beads. And then the edge thread is a metallic type thread, so it does have a little shine to it. So there's a witch. 2018 I did these. It's a haunted house. There's some pumpkins. I love the fabric colors. And then there is an owl. My phone is dinging a lot because our cameras are going off. We've had lots of deer in the yard because we have a apple tree on our side property across the drive, and they are coming after the apples. Pretty soon we're going to have some drunk deer along the side of the road, and then we'll have to really be careful. So I'm going to pause this video, put away this first crate, show you my second crate. Oh, and I should say, I was supposed to come up here and clean the craft room. Well, I did, but you know what happens when you clean a craft room. You find another project, or you have to stop and wash this. Like I washed the ice skates that I showed you a couple videos back. I also washed the tier stand that I have to get the paint off of or put a ribbon around. So in the process of cleaning, you tend to blow up the craft room even more. I guess there's a little more floor space, but I seem to have made myself more projects. And in exploring the cleaning process, I went into the attic to pull out the crates from Halloween. I found out that I have 6 tubs, 5 big tubs and 1 medium tub, full of Halloween ornaments and decorations. And I also have 3 Halloween trees, 2 black trees and an orange tree. And then I got a little depressed because we don't have our daughter here, our exchange daughter. So who's going to enjoy all this decoration? I guess just me and my husband. But I will get it up. And I think I just had to pull it out and organize it, make it a little more accessible. And then maybe I'll get some more cleaning done, and I want to do another craft room tour and show you more of my stash. But until then, I'm just going to pause this for now. I unpacked everything. What a pile. And I found a missing cross stitch, which does not belong in my Halloween pile or crate. This has been missing. Apparently, I packed it away with my Halloween stuff. I usually keep this out on my little tea stand. I picked this one up in New Zealand. I stitched this in 2004. My husband will be really happy I found it. Every once in a while, he'll go around the house and he'll say, whatever happened to... I can't always answer him. So I don't know how it got in there. Everything gets packed away differently, but usually when I unpack a Halloween crate to hang things up, I just kind of put it all out on the dining room table. And as I'm taking things off the walls, that gets packed into the Halloween crate. And then the Halloween stuff goes up, never in the same place. So this poor little guy must have just gotten lost in the shuffle. I have to put him someplace where I'll remember to take him downstairs. Okay, here we go again. This, I can't remember where I got this little guy. I think this was a freebie. This is from 2019. And what I did with this one was I wrapped the hoop with a ribbon to give it that silky effect, and it gives it more dimension. I took a wooden outline of a bat and I went over it with some black and glitter paint to make that sparkle. And I just think that's really cute. Again, another little thing to hang up, which I love. I need to start making some Halloween pillows now that I have that, remember the ceramic basket I showed you? I think that'll be cool. And I have the tower that I'm going to clean up. But he's awfully cute. I can't remember where that pattern went, though. Hopefully nobody will ask me about that one. This, I remember, was the ugliest frame I've ever seen. I got it on clearance for probably $1, but it's perfect for this stitch. Two little kitties. This one is no information on the back, and unfortunately I didn't date this one. It just shows you what kind of stitching frenzy I get into. I didn't care about designers and patterns and years that I did things. I did it because it gave me joy. Which is fine. This is why we should do it. But I loved how distressed that frame was. And I thought, God, this thing looks battered and ugly. But it's perfect. Absolutely perfect for this little stitch. This is a Mill Hill I did in 2017. I don't remember the name of this one, but if you go on 123stitch.com, Mill Hill Halloween things should pop up if you put that in the search engine. And if you don't have a lot of autumn or fall designs, just enter into your favorite designer web search Halloween designs, and you'll get a lot of different fall ideas in Halloween. I love the beadwork in this. And I want to say that this was on, yes, this is on black perforated paper, but it is a full coverage. Even the tree is stitched. Oh, I've got some fuzz there. So the tree is stitched, but you look just beyond the beads, you can see that it's black perforated paper. I can't wait to finish my Enchanted Pumpkin by Mill Hill. These guys can go side by side when they're done. I have a black frame for the pumpkin stitch, so they'll complement each other. What's so great about these frames, this is a Mill Hill frame, they come with these little pegs as a leg, so you can actually stand it up somewhere. So it's always a challenge for me not to lose this. I could certainly make another one, but I don't want that project. This is a 2014. I did not put this under glass. I love that fabric. I don't think I made this, but it is an over-dyed fabric. So there's almost like a shadow of purple at the top. And if you just get it in the right light, it's really dramatic. That was a scrap piece from this fabric. And the great thing about this frame, I remember I found this at a yard sale. It was a natural wood. It was abused. So I painted, I think I want to say I painted it black with like almost a water wash. So it doesn't look completely black. It's got some shadowy effect to it. And I thought it was great for this design. And I really like how the fabric is being shown and it's not too close to the actual stitch, so you can get the full effect of the fabric. It's a heavy, heavy frame. And I can't remember what I paid for it, but it was pennies. Ever since then, I've been searching for another frame like that. This is a Prairie Schooler, also not under glass. This is from 2015 when I stitched it. This was a natural wood frame that I probably got at Michael's or Joann's or something and painted it myself. Once I framed it, I put on a type of cardstock, nice little pattern thing. And I didn't write on the back, which I need to now, put a library card on it and tell me what kind of pattern it was and from what year maybe, a little more detail. I can tell I did it on an 18 count, might be a 22. It's tiny, but I do love the colors in that. This one needs to be cleaned. This is a 2015, also not marked. Drawn thread, maybe. I'm not sure. But I love the pumpkin. And I like that Halloween looks like bones. This is just a standard frame that I think I picked up at Michael's. This is not a mat. It's a plastic insert in the frame. So it just fit it perfectly. I think this was back in the day when I either didn't have a lot of frames or I was still just hitting sales with coupons. This is a fun finish. Now I showed you an alphabet sampler with crows. This is the same designer, and I bought this wooden, very skinny, almost like a balsa wood pumpkin shape from Amazon. And I painted it, and then I kind of used some chalk and other distressed methods to show the grooves in the pumpkin. I wrapped the pumpkin stem with some ripped up fabric so that had a viney look to it. This is probably something that was on top of a package that I saved. I just glued it on. I mounted the cross stitch on a mat board, put on a ribbon on the edge, put that on a purple fabric this is foam board. This is mat board. The purple's mat board. Cross stitch on foam board. And then with this fabric, the cross stitch is sitting on a flat piece and the tucked in pieces of the fabric are on the back, glued to the pumpkin. But this is a really fun thing to prop up somewhere or even on a floor by my pantry. It looks like it's a pumpkin with my little cross stitch on it. I think I've got a few more pumpkins somewhere. This was 2021 when I finally finished this little guy. Cross stitch is not dated. I didn't do that in 21. This was fun to do. Also not marked. Also not dated. Oh, I'm bad. Very crooked. But when we carders do cards, we have these little brads. That's what the little bat is. He is a brad that I stuck into and through the fabric. I don't think the chart called for a bat, but I had to have him. And he's holding up nicely. I should probably take this out and reframe it. It was just a fun and quick stitch. And this, I think, is a 4x6. So it was a tiny little frame. And I must have gotten it from the dump because it's been really butchered, doesn't close properly. But I can still hang it up or I can prop it up somewhere. This is an interesting piece because it's bits and pieces of a chart. I have to do a shout out to Sophia because Sophia knows what this fabric is. Once upon a time, we were stitching together and she had this fabric that she thought was just hideous and ugly, and it was called Tobacco Road, I think. And she said, I don't like this stuff. So I traded her for something. Once I stitched this up and showed it to her, she wanted it back. So I'm always teasing her about Tobacco Road. And I think she had since bought some more because when she saw how I used it, she got brave and decided to get some. The frame I picked up, heaven knows where, but it was badly marred on the corner up here. So I decided, once again, using my carding embellishments, to put a foam detail, which is just a foam sticker, on both sides of the frame, which is a great thing to do if you're going to pick up frames that are really damaged and you don't want to spend a lot of time on it. Think about what you can use to put on the frame to hide your little problem, whether it be buttons, wooden cutouts. I'll show you one. But this, I love the frame of this. I did this in 2015. There is no pattern for this. It's just bits of different charts. That's all I remember. I was going through a crow phase, and I had to have that one. What else is in the pile? Ah, I showed this pattern for the, I think it was a Christmas house. So this is part of that series. This was done in 2016. I can't remember what number this is. But I loved how this frame really complemented it. The mats, I want to say I just bought the mats pre-cut. I didn't cut them myself because I just didn't feel up to it. But I did put the mats in this frame. And the frame is a plastic one, but you couldn't really tell. And I like the beading effect around the frame. Some stitches call for very plain frames, some call for some elaborate ones. This one's just a good complement. It's an old series. I know I just showed it on a previous video. Do I have it handy? Nope, no such luck. Don't want anything to happen to that. This one was a chart, not marked. Swooping bats, dancing rats, glowing pumpkins, witches' hats, hazy moonlight, ghosts in flight, all are ready for Halloween night. I loved everything that was going on in here. And of course it had bats and birds. So I had to do it. It's a little too tight. I think I probably should have left some space at the bottom, left a little more space at the top. But it is what it is because I had the frame and said, okay, it fits. And I simply just used a back of a notebook after I put all the acid-free stuff down to really snug it in there. And I never bothered to cover this. Some of these I like to leave open because after a few years, things start wrinkling if you've done it yourself. So there is a maintenance phase I have to go through of taking things out, re-ironing, and replacing into the frame. Just happens. This one I did last year. How's that for a long frame? This was a Goodwill find, the frame was. And I remember being so excited about it. I didn't have to paint it either. But I do hang it this way. Happy Halloween is cute, but this goes on one of our posts because we have a post and beam house. And it fits perfectly. And I just thought it was dramatic. It was a little harder than I thought. I did stop counting because I just wanted it to be a little longer in the frame. So I made sure that the web went to the top so you can't see where it starts from, but you can see where it ends. This is not a cross stitch. This was a puzzle. And this is going to be hard to show. I have it in a double-sided, I guess you would call it. double-sided frame, so it's a stained glass effect. But this is Nightmare Before Christmas. It's a jigsaw puzzle that once it's put together, it looks like a stained glass piece. So I have it set in, this is plexiglass. My husband had to cut it for me. So when I put it up against the window, the light comes through. But I love Nightmare Before Christmas. And my dear friend Steve gave me this puzzle, and I had to do it right away and then figure out how to never do it again and use it for display because it was so pretty. And the pieces were made for this. I don't know why they did that, because I don't think they offered you a frame to finish it off with. And I saved the best for last. This is my Halloween sampler that has a bad crease in it. I'll have to fix that sometime. But this is what I was talking about. I searched and searched for a frame because when I took this to a framer's to get it professionally framed, they wanted $353 to frame it. And I don't think that was, that wasn't even with museum glass. And I don't think that was with mats. No, it was with one mat. I just don't understand why it was quoted so much. So I ran around to a couple of craft stores. I couldn't find any frames for this, but I did find this frame, which was much too large for it. So then I ran to the wood section and I found the alphabet in, this very thin cutout. So I found the word boo, or made the word boo, and glued it to the bottom. And it's got a fantastic effect. So now I like how it's framed, with the exception of my little crease at the bottom. And there's no reason why we can't decorate our frames to make them work. I think this is great. I almost put glitter on this, but I figured I didn't want to detract from this. This is very busy, and I didn't want any more busyness going on. And I like the barn washed effect. I wish I remembered what I paid for this frame. I don't. But I did keep the quote, the original quote from the framer on the back, because I think I went into a bit of shock. As we all would. There are a few things that I've had professionally framed, certainly not for that amount of money. The Titanic that I did is professionally framed, but that is also under museum glass. That was a 7-year stitch, and my husband is the one who did the framing for that. We went to the frame shop and he said, I want this, 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 this. So he got the sticker shock. But he has a great eye for pairing frames with mats, and it's really a joy to see. I don't always have that eye. This was the first in a series, I think, of 2 that they did. And if you need to know who they is, I can look this up, but I can't. I just want you to be inspired to get out your fall stuff, inspired to start a fall stitch, or maybe even get starting on your cross stitch for Christmas. I think I might do that as well. I think I finished, I showed you the finish of that. I finally put a little backing on this little guy. I ripped him off of the other board that I had him on because there was just too many pom-poms, because I had pom-poms on the backboard too. So this is cute. Hello, winter. But we're going to be doing Hello Fall this weekend. So I need to get these crates downstairs, and then I need to pull out all my buckets, and then I need to pull out all my Halloween trees. I keep saying Christmas trees. Halloween trees, and get those decorated. Hopefully I'll finish those ornaments from the Prairie Schooler that I just cut up, and I have them all in one place, and there's a total of 18 little stitches that I need to make up for ornaments. What have I done to myself? I wanted to give a shout out to Missy and Kathy over at Two Needles Pulling Thread. I love watching them. They are Mainers and they have a FLOSSTUBE channel, Two Needles Pulling Thread. If you haven't already subscribed, go check them out because they're a lot of fun to watch. They do a lot of stitching. I'm jealous because I didn't do any stitching yesterday. I think because I just got a little blue pulling out all the buckets and organizing what I need to get downstairs for Halloween, and then realizing that nobody was here to share the joy this year. Just sad, but we talk to her a lot, and she's having a great time over at school, and she's doing really good. So we love you, and we'll see you soon. We're going to go over to Germany, hopefully by the end of the year. But until then, I just wanted to say have a great day and happy stitching and be safe.